Hello and welcome to this special episode of the BW Dialogues. My name is Bhuvanesh Khanna and I work with the BW Business World and the BW Hotelier. Today I'm joined by two exceptional global leaders. Our first guest is Geoff Ballotti. He's the president and CEO of Wyndham Hotels and Resorts. He's flown in here from New Jersey. And welcome to the show, Geoff. Such a pleasure.
Here, we actually flew in from
Udaipur today.
Yeah.
Excellent. So a bit about Geoff, very short, crisp. Geoff has been at the helm of Wyndham when it went public as a pure play hotel company in 2018, and he leads about 9,267 hotels across 95 countries. When I started writing the script, there were 9,200 hotels. All right, so take a guess. Welcome, Geoff.
Thank you very much.
All right, time to bring in my good old friend.
Old for sure.
So Dimitris needs no introduction really to India. He's the president for Europe, the Middle East, Eurasia, Africa, and of course, our part of South Asia at Wyndham. He's coming from London, and he's a man, I don't know how many people travel like him. I'm sure Geoff does too.
No,
but yeah, but I guess he needs his own plane. All right. So Dimitris oversees one of the most dynamic regions in the hospitality world. Welcome to the show, Dimitris.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Gentlemen, welcome to the show. This is our second one, but the first one in person. So, with your permission, do we get on with the show?
Let's on with the show.
Let's dive on.
We had Dimitris on in November.
All right, great. Yeah. Geoff, the first question. Sure. Wyndham has a massive global footprint with more than 9,267 hotels across 25 brands, 95 countries. Tell me, what are the top three trends shaping the global hospitality industry, and how is Wyndham positioning itself to lead in this landscape?
Great question. Number one, I would say consumer confidence today, both here in India and certainly in the United States and around the world, is sky high. And leisure is back with a vengeance, not fully recovered, but certainly getting there in certain parts of the world. I would say at the same time, we're certainly seeing a resiliency and a rebound in business travel here in India, and certainly in the United States of America, where Wyndham has most of its footprint. And I would say the third trend has to do with experiential travel, and we've certainly experienced that this week from our travel so far here in India, and I'm sure we will continue to experience that as we head down to Goa for Hope 2025. Technology has a big role to play in all of that, and that probably is what we're most focused on right now, is how do we add technology to our booking experience to both bring down costs for our owners while making the experience a lot more seamless and a lot more enjoyable for our guests. And more than anything, what Wyndham has been focusing on over the last 5 years, 6 years now since we went public, is continuing to grow, making sure that that system growth is keeping up with expectations. We believe that size matters and scale matters, and growth certainly is very important to us. And what I think we're most excited about is our growth here in India. It is one of the fastest growing countries in Dimitris' region, and we've just, since he's taken the helm, we've seen a doubling of hotels here in the country. And it last year was one of the fastest growing in the world pipelines for us, with a 20% increase in our development pipeline, and a lot of good news to follow. As I think today is a perfect example at the grand opening of the Wyndham Grand Udaipur. Yes.
And India's just about only begun.
It's only begun.
Our best is yet to come.
Our best is yet to come.
All right. So Dimitris, the next one is for you. Are you ready for it?
I don't know.
Right.
Go for it. Go for it.
All right. So tell me, how do you see the growth trajectory in your region, especially our part of Asia? particularly India and South Asia, like I said? And what's your regional strategy for capturing these dynamic markets?
Look, EMEA in the last 10 years, it's a very diverse region, right? And one of the good things about EMEA is that you've got certain markets that they perform very well in a certain point in time, and you've got others that they're going through a recession or challenges. So overall, the region has done phenomenally well. As Geoff said, we are one of the fastest regions across the global portfolio. We're going to end up this year with 700 hotels, which is an amazing milestone for us. And the beauty about it is that we're not actually focusing in just 3 or 4 key markets. We are growing in the CIS. We are one of the top international groups in Georgia, in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and I'll end up with India. We are growing in the Iberia Peninsula, Spain, Portugal. And again, to Geoff's point about the leisure growth, this is where the real growth is. We have seen double our presence in Greece. We just yesterday we got approvals to open up 2 new hotels in Italy. So it's not just about the UK, Germany, traditional markets that we were always very strong. It's about the new markets across EMEA. Now, coming down to India, as Geoff said, India has been one of our success stories, and it has been a success story not because it happened by chance. We actually follow in the trajectory of the growth of the Indian continent. You guys are growing faster. Your GDP growth the last couple of years is faster than anybody else's. You're the most populous country in the world. Your infrastructure development. So it would be very odd for the world's biggest franchisor not to follow that pace. We are not growing just for the sake of growth. I think we are very strategic on our growth. We were opportunistic when we started because you have to start from somewhere. Now it's about strategy. It's about the right partners, the right brands in the right locations. As India grows and as India captures that opportunity, I kept on saying, you remember the last time I told you, this is Indians' decade.
Oh, it is.
This is it. And if you're not here, you're missing big time.
Then you're not part of the game.
You're not part of the game. And I always say to my team, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. and that's the worst part to be. That's the worst place to be, on the menu. So we're at the table, big time. So India for us, huge potential. And the potential is not just about the growth, it's about inbound, outbound, it's about talent as well. These are the 3 pillars that we see growth in India in the next few years.
Excellent. So Geoff, tell me, if you're looking at 2030, 2035, what are your top priorities for these markets, especially the emerging markets?
Well, they're very simple, and as we said to our new owners in Daipur, I mean, our job is to make sure that our market share and the performance of our brands continue to outperform. And so we're very focused more than anything on continuing to drive direct contribution from our marketing, our sales efforts, the team that we have here to owners, so that our brands continue to resonate and our company continues to grow. And it is for us, and certainly for our competitors, growth is the name of the game. And you look out to 2035, which is 10 years from now, and we will be significantly larger than we are today.
And 2035 will vanish in a clip. Time flies, so we've really got to be on the ball.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me, Dimitri, what is your strategy for integrating Wyndham's various brands? You've got a diverse set of brands in the region to capture different market segments effectively.
I think this is a very fair point. We've got 25 brands. In India, Ramada is the brand that actually outperforms any other brand that we have. We started with Ramada.
But you've got so many beyond Ramada.
Yes, but that's how we started. We started with Ramada, and then we realized that it wasn't just about Ramada. We realized that the consumers and the owners were actually looking for far more from Wyndham. So now we have successfully landed, Howard Johnson. We've got our Wyndham Garden. Wyndham Garden is one of our fastest growing brand in India, right? Which is a great opportunity for us. We've got Ramada, all tiers. As Geoff said, we're about to open the first Wyndham Grand in India, which is a huge opportunity for us. We just signed, and you talk about strategy, you know that we are a pure franchise player here in India. So we realized that the third-party managements, you know, the people who are experienced in provide management services, they're very important in our growth. We brought Microtel with Nile Hospitality. We just signed a deal with Signum Hotels to open up a trademark both here in Dubai and in the UK. So strategic alliances, brands that make sense for the country, not just any brands of Wyndham, so the ones that make sense, the right owners at the right locations. For me, these are the 4 main points of how we're going to grow. You start opportunistically, but then you become far more strategic as you grow in the marketplace.
Staying with that, why don't you walk us through the brand architecture of Wyndham in the region, and also how do the economy, mid-scale and luxury brands fit into your hospitality metrics?
So I'll start with the second. You know, I've been on almost all conferences in this country the last 3-4 years, especially after COVID, and you heard me saying repeatedly that the economy, the way that the US developed, right? In the US, every 10 minutes we've got another Wyndham. The way the US developed, I believe, is going to develop here in India at some point. The premium economy, the budget hotels, as the infrastructure grows and the infrastructure gets better, as more airports, highways, trains are opening up, I think this is a huge opportunity for us. And I'm extremely privileged to see some of our peers are actually repeating the same story, and they're saying, you know, it's the premium economy that is going to grow the country. But it's not just about that. Our Ramadas here, they fit in the mid-scale space. We've got full service Ramadas. They are making a great, they've got a great future. Bear in mind that we've got a great F&B. We cater, 40% of our revenues are based on weddings or more. So that's the second part of our evolution. And obviously the third part of the revolution is, how do you go into another scale? How do you go in the upper scale? How do you bring more namesake brands like Wyndham? How do you bring, you know, more Wyndham brands? And more importantly for me, I think branded residences in this part of the world, as the mid-scale or the middle class is growing, branded residences is going to be one of our biggest success. We've successfully launched branded residences in EMEA about 18 to 24 months ago. We have seen tremendous success because, you know, branded residency was all about luxury. Everybody was talking about, you know, the Mandarin Orientals, the Four Seasons. There's a huge opportunity in the mid-scale. So I believe branded residences and an extended stay in this market is going to be the next brands and the next opportunity that we're going to explore. So that's the brand architecture. That's where I see. Are we going to bring new brands? Are we going to bring more brands? Again, it's not about the number of brands that you have. It's about what fits with the industry, what fits with the market, what fits with the owners, and we need the right partners. We need the right partners. That's absolutely critical for us.
And today we only have in India, we had 8 brands in India. Today we announced the 9th in Daipur.
Correct.
With the Wyndham Grand.
Correct.
And we have 25. So the ability to continue finding owners who, we say all the time, owners do business with us because they know us, they like us, they trust us, that will be willing to do another hotel with us in another segment, to your question.
And that's such an endorsement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah.
And also, you see, given the size of India, not just population, the geography, we're a very diverse country, so there's always room for more.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, and the percentage of branded international, well, the percentage of hotels that are branded is among the lowest in the world here in India.
Yeah, but then it's all beginning to happen. You look at Ayodhya, 45 hotels have been signed up, right? So imagine it's a brand new location. Right? Yep. You've just got one operational branded hotel right now.
Exactly.
Right? So you've got 44 more coming.
Yeah, and think about it. The more the more India becomes the backbone of so many international companies. Those international companies, they don't want their staff, their people, to travel in places where there is no fire life safety, there is no security, there is no great rooms at an affordable price. That is a great opportunity for us. The days that you would risk your salespeople or your executives to travel anywhere without security and health and safety are long gone. Companies will treat their employees and they will say, look, I will guarantee you a good night's sleep in a health safe environment, and that's what the brands are bringing. And
who knows India better than you do, right? So
you live here.
I'm half Indian.
We're giving him a passport.
Yes.
All right. So Geoff, tell me from a global perspective, how does Wyndham position itself on the hospitality brand ladder, and what's your strategy for balancing growth across classifications?
Well, our growth internationally has just been explosive. In Dimitris' region, as we were talking about, mid to high single digits, double-digit growth in Asia Pacific right now for many of the same reasons that we're talking about. Our focus in the United States is we grew up with economy. We like economy. We continue to grow in economy with some great new economy brands. Our focus of late has been in the mid-scale, upper mid-scale, upscale, and upper upscale. And those brands are growing at higher fee pars, fees per available room. And that's really been our focus. We believe we have the best economy and mid-scale brands, but we've added just some great upper mid-scale and upscale brands, both domestically and internationally. And we've done where it's made sense some great tuck-in acquisitions. The acquisition that Dimitri did with Vienna House, we haven't talked about that all week, but who knows? Vienna House, a tuck-in acquisition that was immediately accretive in some markets where we did not have that aspirational product that our 114 million Wyndham Reward members just dream about vacationing in. The Munichs, the Dresdens, the Berlins,
Prague,
Austria,
yes,
Switzerland.
Prague,
those additions are just fantastic additions for a fanatical group of people that want to redeem their well-earned Wyndham Reward points. We probably have the possibility to bring Vienna House at some point to
absolutely,
India.
Absolutely. You see the Gen now, right?
Our growth is in that next generation traveler.
So they're hungry for more.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So they're not saving.
Yep.
Right. So they're hungry for more, and they're well traveled. And even if they're not traveled, their awareness levels are way beyond
sky high.
Are way beyond where if we were to be at their age, right? So So Dimitri, can you share insights into your long-term development strategy, and what are your key focus areas for growth over the next 5 to 10 years?
Look, it starts with people. I think we've got a great development team. They've been extremely successful in promoting Wyndham exactly to the strategy and the brands that I spoke about earlier. New hires. We're about to hire 2 new development resources that are going to enhance the presence of our team. Great geographical coverage. As you very well said, India is a vast country with a lot of cultural differences and a lot of different priorities in terms of development. I think we need to be in all the major markets across India. That's the 5th one. Retention, absolutely critical. You talk a lot about growth, but in order to grow, you need strong legs. You need to stand on strong legs. So retention for us is key. We have one of the best retention rates in the industry. As Geoff said, not only we keep our hotels, but those people who do business with us bring us more. So that's key. And then it's sales and marketing. It's how do you actually make sure that those franchisees get from you the value that they deserve from a brand that they actually assigned on the top of their building, not because just to have a logo, but to actually get the value out of it. I think one of the things that we do every day, you wake up in the morning and say, what am I going to do for my franchisees today? I want my team, that's the only thing they have to think about. What am I going to do today to add value to that franchisee? And I was in a conference last week, and a lot of people were asking me, why don't you talk about guests? You're the only company or you're the only guy that doesn't talk about guests. Everybody talks about guest experience. So guys, in a franchise world, your owner is the most important asset. If we don't have a healthy, financially healthy, happy owner, people are going to lose their jobs, and guests will not have the great experience that Geoff spoke about. So for us, that owner-first philosophy is the pillar of our growth in India. It won't change. It won't change. Now, strategically, again, geographies, locations, brands, right owners, third-party operators, these are the 5 or 6 things that they are on top of our heads at the moment.
Yeah, and beyond people?
Technology, experiences. The other thing that is important to us is, and we're doing a big shift now, inbound, outbound. You heard me, I was in your event as well, and I talked about the 150 million consumers, Indian consumers who are going to travel around the world. We want to capture a big share of that wallet. So being strong here with recognizable brands and through Wyndham Rewards, these people are going to travel and they're going to use our hotels, the Vienna houses in Prague and in Berlin, you know, the Ramadas and the Dolces and so forth. So that's one. And second is the inbound tourism. How can we make incredible India known to the world? I'll give you an example, 35 million tourists in Greece, 10 million tourists, 12 million tourists in India. 9 million population in Greece, 1.4 billion in India. I mean, look at the potential. So for us, outbound, inbound is absolutely critical. So that's how we see it in the next few years.
And if you were to see the numbers that have just happened at the Kumbh, all right, so we're talking about 600 million people.
Yes, you just came back from
so
there.
which is, and by the time it closes, perhaps would be half the population of India.
Yeah, my goodness.
Right, so these are mind-boggling numbers.
Yeah. No, the world demand for travel, no matter what statistic you look at,
but spiritual and pilgrimage tourism is the next big horizon.
Right, far outpacing supply of hotel rooms in any of those spiritual markets.
So Geoff, tell me in terms of metrics like GOP, ADR, RevPAR, how are you tracking globally? And where do you see the biggest growth opportunities?
We're tracking very well globally. Globally, RevPAR, I think, is running somewhere between 3% and 4%. We just reported our fourth quarter earnings last week and posted a 5% global RevPAR growth. India is doing remarkably better than that at a 10% last year on year. And we were looking at projections today from Horvath. You've got another double-digit 10% year coming. And I think what to me is most exciting is that it's not simply rate, it's demand. That 66% occupancy that India posted in 2023, last year was suddenly 70%. And Horvath is predicting another 200 basis points of occupancy to 72 this year and 74 for 2026, which I find incredibly exciting. We were talking earlier before the taping. I was in China last week. China occupancy is not still fully recovered. It's running at 80% of where it was pre-COVID, and there's lots of reasons for that. But there is still a big tailwind of travel that will follow, we believe. Flight capacity has a lot to do with that.
Yes.
Flight capacity domestically and internationally from an inbound standpoint is not fully yet recovered, but it's recovering. And flight capacity here in India is a pretty bright picture when you look at Air India and Indigo's orders for jets. And when you look at Mr. Modi's success and what's happened from your 75 to 150 airports in a fairly short period of time.
And let's not talk about rail and road connectivity.
The ability, we were talking on the way in from the airport about how we're as the world's largest hotel franchisor in the United States of America, our largest population is Gujaratis, and they come home all the time. And I was asking, where do they land? They land in Mumbai. How do they get back? That is an hour rail bullet. I mean,
It is?
the infrastructure progress that's been made here in India is really, really exciting. We have a big infrastructure story we track in the United States of America. We think that's where the demand is coming. In the U.S., it's the most historic piece of legislation our nation's ever seen. That $1.5 trillion spend of infrastructure spending. There are 1.8 million companies in the U.S. that are bidding on that work and building high-speed rail and ports and airport extensions and repairing highways and roads just as there is here in India. Where are not only the workers but all of the engineers? Where are they staying working on those projects? There's a lot of opportunity. I know when we're down at Hope later this week, there are developers that want to talk to us about why there aren't more, to Dimitris' point, internationally branded mid-scale, upper mid-scale, safe, affordable, quality lodging accommodations along the roadside of these new highways that Mr. Modi, Prime Minister Modi, is so gung-ho on continuing to
And
build.
mind you, the full effect of the brand new infrastructure has yet to kick in.
It's just starting, and I think it's starting to show up in those metrics you asked me about. 66 to 70, 72 to 74% on the occupancy side, with rate, adding a good 400 basis points.
And what's the year-on-year growth?
It's double digit.
There you are.
Yeah,
All right, so where would you find that?
we're very excited.
So tell me, my next question is going to be a long one, So Wyndham's presence in India, like we said, is expanding rapidly with the new office, a growing Eurasian team, including the recent appointment of a brand new market managing director.
Not new to Wyndham.
All right, not new, he's an old bloke, Rahul.
Yes.
All right, so
Sorry, we're very lucky to have him back.
God has his own plans, so and they're like pins; they fall into place.
Good old days. Good old days.
Yeah. So tell me, what are your expectations from this key market, and how does it fit into Wyndham's global strategy?
Rahul and Dimitri have been pointing at each other in terms of the goals and objectives that we set for our budgets in terms of growth. And they're pretty heady. We have roughly, as I said, we've doubled our presence here in India over the last 10 years. We have 50 hotels in our development pipeline, and it is up 20% year on year. And so, to the extent that Rahul and the team could keep pushing that pipeline, we believe we could continue to grow at double digit going into 25 and the 3 years beyond that. And I think there's a great level of confidence from a great team of franchise sales and development leaders that growth will continue.
Excellent. My next question is extremely important for me, right? How does Wyndham foster a culture of inclusivity and diversity in the region, especially India?
I'll take that, because I think it starts with the leadership, and Dimitri's going to be...
Well, both of you, just go for it.
Dimitri's going to be too modest. It really, and we've talked a lot with the team over the last, I've been here for the last 3 nights, about how we continue to raise that culture. Wyndham's corporate culture is based on 5 simple values, and you see Dimitri and I both with our Count on Me service philosophy. It's pretty simple. Every one of our team members and associates worldwide, including here in India, believe in these 5 words. It begins with accountability. The team that is going to deliver those results are accountable for those results. But it also, more importantly, is about integrity in terms of how we're doing business with our owners, inclusiveness in terms of reaching out to our communities and being inclusive in terms of how we're working together. 2 really important words: caring and having fun while doing it. And when it comes to leaders, I'm incredibly proud of Dimitri. He makes sure that this team has accountability, has integrity, has inclusiveness, and certainly cares more about their owners, as he so rightly said, but has great fun doing it. And it really starts at the top. And
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
here in India, that starts with Dimitri and now Rahul, who will be leading a great team, an expanding team. We're thrilled to be here in Gurgaon. I can't wait. We're going to we're going to have a ceremony tomorrow where we're going to officiate the opening of our new office here in Gurgaon, and it's a big step up in terms of talent and people and resources. But it starts with a culture.
You know, I have two questions for both of you. Right? You do 95 countries. How do you do them? Right? And you, how do you manage it all? You know, because your relationships in India have very few parallels. All right? Your chutzpah, your local connect.
Wow. So look, it has to do with the five things that Geoff spoke about. You know, our industry, it's commitment. You gotta be passionate about what you do. You gotta love this job. You gotta love people to be successful in this job. It's about people. A lot of personal sacrifices, of course, because you know, you realize that there's only 24 hours in a day and 7 days in a week. But at the same time, you know, you want to be successful. You want your team to be successful. You want your business partners to be successful. You want the countries that you work with and the people in those countries to be successful. You know, for me, it is a great opportunity when we go. We have now 5-6 offices, and we only had one a few years back. And you go to these countries and you go to these offices and you see the passion that these guys have and our team members about their owners and about their own success. And what really makes me extremely proud as a leader of the team is when the team members raise to their potential. The worst thing that you can see when you're a leader in a team is that when you see people that they don't rise to their potential. And I'm so excited, especially here and across EMEA. I mean, we had a phenomenal year on year. So people rising to their potential means that our owners are rising to their potential, their team members are rising to their potential, and at the same time, the country we serve actually raises to their potential. You think that we come to India just for India? No. We come just to grow in India? No. We come to India for India. We are ambassadors of India everywhere we go. We talk about India more when we're outside of India than in India. And I think that is an important message for the Indian population. We're not here just a couple of years, grab as much revenues as we can and then disappear. We have a long-term plan and we're here for India.
Dimitri told our owner of the new Wyndham Grand Udaipur today that he is going to introduce the Wyndham Grand Udaipur to our 7,000 Gujaratis at our global conference in a few months in Las Vegas, saying that all of the moms and dads who want their children to be married in India are going to want
to be there?
Going to want to have a wedding at the all-veg Wyndham Grand Udaipur.
So tell me, Geoff, how do you manage the 95 countries that you have?
It's simple, and you know, I'll just very shortly say that it's about, as Dimitri said, it's if you know you have the right leaders in the region, it's pretty simple, and that's what, you know, I think about every morning is what more can I do to support Dimitri here in EMEA, or our leaders in Asia Pacific, Junan Oy, or Gustavo Vieques down in Latin America, and our teams in the United States. It's if you got great people around, it's.
But how many can you cover?
It's covered. I mean, each of our regions have great leaders, and we probably talk close to daily. And it is amazing what technology has.
Oh, true. I mean, and it makes it comfortable.
It was 5 years ago we all decided that we were going to give running our offices a shot from our living rooms with something I'd never heard of. Had you heard of Zoom before?
I live on Zoom.
But did you live on Zoom 5 years ago?
I didn't even know it.
I went home that day and people told me that tomorrow would all be on Zoom. None of us.
Now it's second skin.
And now it's, yeah. So I'm always in touch with these folks.
So there you are. You don't have to be there in person, so you can connect.
There's nothing. I say to the team all the time, I'd much rather be having a day like today out with owners in a region like this than anywhere else.
Well, you can't take away personal connect if you're in hospitality. Geoff, let me come back to you. Asset ownership relationships are crucial in hospitality. How does Wyndham balance its franchise model globally, and what's the long-term strategy for asset partnerships?
Our global growth model is franchising. We are the world's largest hotel franchisor. We've been doing it longer than anyone else. We believe we're franchising the best brands in each of their segments, and we're going to continue to focus on that. We've sold our owned hotels, we've sold our management businesses, and our focus is and will remain being the best franchisor out there in our segments that we play in.
As long as you can have your SOPs and act going strong.
Quality's key.
Is critical.
It's a big piece of what we do, and it's great to have seen since COVID those quality scores, those net promoter scores, continue to come up, and that's what we're focused on. You're really only as strong as that weakest link in any of your brands in terms of making that tough decision that when an owner or franchisee is not engaged, that it's often, unfortunately, time to part ways.
Dimitri, where do you see the greatest growth opportunities in your region? Tier 1 cities, emerging 2 and 3 tier towns, or resort destinations, and what types and sizes of hotels will be prioritized?
Look, history has shown, I've got a theory about follow the planes. So where the planes go, there's going to be the next growth. If you look at Europe, there were two key changes that happened in the last 15 years is the EasyJet and Ryanair. They changed the way we travel. They discovered tier 2, tier 3 cities. They discovered airports that they were abandoned, and they created a completely new trend, which is going to tier 2 and tier 3 cities. It's not just about Paris, it's about Lyon, it's about Marseille, it's about the south of France. When you can go to Barcelona with 60 euros and then you can spend more at the hotels and the bars and the restaurants, that's what the beauty of travel is. So democratization of travel, for me, is the way, the trend that you're going to see more and more. Sure. I believe that there's going to be new destinations that are coming up. Social media is actually changing the way we travel. Both my daughters, they choose what we're going to do as a family based on Instagram. What is the most Instagrammable place? That's the next thing we're going.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I mean that's the world we live in. I'm a true believer of certain markets that ease of visa will make it a huge growth opportunity. You will be surprised, I know you know already, we had a huge growth of Indians going to Turkey. In Turkey, we're the #1 hotel group with 130 hotels and growing. We have a huge amount of Indians traveling to Georgia. We're the #1 hotel group in Georgia with 9 and another 10 in the pipeline. People are going to Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. Why? Because those markets realize that the 150 million consumers in India, they need visa. They don't need visa to get
1,500 million.
1,500 million. So they don't need a visa. That is extremely important. The strategy of the welcoming destinations is going to play a huge role where we grow.
A whole lot of markets in the region are actually letting go the visas for the Indian traveler. Sri Lanka, Thailand, a whole lot of them. Others are giving it on arrival.
Yes. Very clever.
Thailand.
Yes, very clever, very clever.
And why not?
As I tell you, if you look at Turkey, I believe Turkey, Antalya, Cappadocia, and Istanbul will be the 3 major destinations that the Indians will start traveling in the next few years.
So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, most Indians have CIS on their bucket list.
There you go. And we are among the first, second, or third international brands in those countries.
There you are.
Yes, Georgia last night. Yes, exactly.
So tell me, Dimitri, the next one is to you as well. So if you were to fast forward to 2035, what would be your dream scenario for Wyndham in EMEA and Asia?
A great successor.
Successor to?
To me?
Used to.
Yeah, I'm still young, right? I was expecting you to say that. Thank you.
I'm going to see you in 2055.
There you go.
You know, but I'll be seeing you from up there.
No, look, where we're gonna be. First of all, introduction of more brands that make sense. I think that we've got a portfolio of brands that we haven't brought into this market, that they have a lot of potential to grow. So that's one. Second, new destinations. Everybody talks about where's the next big thing? What is the next big thing? I want to be part personally and with my team, and I want to be with them in that journey or where the next big thing is. When we started going to CIS in Georgia, a lot of people said, you must be crazy. I mean, who's going to go there and how are you going to develop those markets? And look what it is today. When we went in markets, we're growing now in Nepal, we're growing in Bhutan, we're growing in Sri Lanka, we're going to introduce our first hotel in Bangladesh. This is where I see the future is. How do you actually make sure that you capture those new destinations and you are there before your nearest competitor? That's why having people on the ground and exploring those destinations is absolutely key. But follow the planes. Wherever the planes go, that's the next big thing. I've seen it clearly in my journey.
Perfect. I'll come with another question after I ask Geoff the next one. And for you, Geoff, what's your vision for Wyndham globally by 2035?
Yeah, I think Dimitris said it well. It's continued growth. We again want more locations. We obviously want more hotels, and we have the ability, as we have here in India, to continue to add existing brands to regions and countries that they don't exist. The By Wyndham umbrella that wraps it all together is really all about distribution and providing our owners with that lowest cost of distribution. And there's a lot of brands that we have not yet registered for franchise sales here in India that I would think by 2035 we will, and we're on that pathway, and we saw that today.
You've got to set up a very, very strong platform. You already have a strong platform, but stronger the better. Having said that, before I move into the next part, considering the kind of growth that you're seeing all across in India, any parallels to such comparable growth anywhere in the world?
Certainly, having just spent last week in Asia Pacific, so many destinations, so many countries. We talk a lot about the 1,500 hotels we have in China. We were opportunistic early on. We're now very deliberate and strategic. We're no longer master licensing brands as we did 20 years ago. But again, very unbranded, very much owners looking for that direct franchising model that is really, here in India, if you think back 10 years, that direct franchising model was not as prevalent as it is today, with the Indian entrepreneurs that want more control, that might want to manage their hotels themselves. I think so many markets in Asia and the Pacific are similar to here.
And infrastructure?
Infrastructure is a really important part of the equation. I mean, there are certainly parts of the world.
Brand new infrastructure, yes, I'm talking about.
We're not yet in because that infrastructure doesn't exist. It exists here, and it's only getting better.
For instance, the train now goes through the mountains and into Kashmir. And so we have the highest bridge coming over, the railway bridge.
I've been coming here since 1993, and former company's days with ITC in Sheridan. You think about the progress that India's made over the last 2 decades. It's impressive.
Right, so that brings us to the end of this chat. Geoff, thank you so much for your time. It's been such a pleasure, right? I wish I could spend more time and do a lot more. But then this one's been a good session, and we should come back and do this sooner than later again and see where we are, since we've got the numbers, right? And why don't we now bring in our dear friend Rahul Macarius, who's the Market Vice President, and I have no, not yet. That's a little early.
Okay.
All right. So we'll have a chat with Rahul. So taking off from where we just ended our session, it's time to bring in our good friend Rahul Macarius. So it's been a homecoming for him to both Dimitris, Geoff and Wyndham. So it's a happy occasion to introduce the man himself. Tell us more about this development, right? And how do you see this, both of you?
Well, I'll start and pass it to Dimitri, who convinced Rahul to come back. When I remember some of my nearest, dearest, fondest memories of here in Gurgaon. He was always present, just an omnipresent figure. You remember Deepika Arora?
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah, and we were talking about Ben, who is down also in that first office we have. We're on our third office now, rapidly expanding office. But when we knew that we needed to find a leader to take it to the next level, I reached out to Dimitri, and Dimitri?
Yes, and you just realize that the answers that you're seeking actually are closer than you think.
They're always there.
They're always there. So that's the only answer I can give about bringing Rahul back. Rahul has a great career, and what is important about people's careers, they have a great CV, they have a great career, they hand it to your hands as a leader and say, I've got 20 years in service. There's my 20 years. You are now the gatekeeper of those 20 years. Make sure you do something good with them. So it's a huge responsibility to bring Rahul back, like in every leader, not just Rahul. But as I said, the answers were far closer than I thought. So I was looking with binoculars, but the answer was right there in front of me.
So I'm sure you're happy to be back. This homecoming's good and should be for your last stop.
No, absolutely. And first, thank you very much for inviting me. It's good to be back home. It's a family that have actually come back to. I loved Wyndham. There's a great culture which has been built up by Geoff first, and then Dimitris. I want to kind of also hold the torch and kind of continue the same culture. We talk about people first, always. And that's the biggest driver for us and in our company as well. So I'm extremely happy to be back. Thank you very much.
Excellent. So gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed doing my show with you, right?
Thanks for having
And
us.
thank you for your time, and thank you for being here and giving us this opportunity. You're a friend like none before.
As
right?
always.
And Rahul,
Thank you very
God
much.
bless you.
Thank you very much.
Go far, do well, and keep raising the bar with every minute, day and month. Right?
I will.
Just
Thank
keep
you very
raising
much.
the bar.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
God bless you.
Yes.